Oh, I have a special one for you guys today. This is my 1954 Ariel Square 4 that I have finally received back in running condition after 3 long years of restoration and running around. For the observant viewer, I've teased this motorcycle a few times. I've talked about this bike a few times. In the last video last week I mentioned there's a British bike coming to the channel soon, and this is it. These are really special machines. You never see Square 4s out in the wild. This is a 54 and it's had a long journey to get to where we are now. The story of this bike begins when my dad purchased it somewhere in the 90s. He purchased this bike in Southern California. The bike had 2 frames and it was in pretty fair condition, but it was nowhere near it is today. I'll show a couple pictures of how the bike was before we sent it to go get restored. After he purchased the bike, he got it running. He heard it running once. Unfortunately, it went into long-term storage. My dad moved here to Wisconsin. He had 2 young kids, and well, the Square 4 unfortunately got put on the back burner for many years. A lot of stuff happened between then and 2021, and I finally decided to go pick the bike up and bring it back to our house, where I had never even seen this bike for an extended period of time. I had seen it a couple of times when I was a kid, and then I had seen it maybe one time just parked in the storage where it was. I brought the bike out and you guys can see the condition of the motorcycle before. The one thing about this motorcycle that we didn't know, in the history kind of tying back to Southern California, was the fact that this motor was rebuilt by a very famous engine builder out in California, and I believe he was either the head of the Ariel Square 4 club or some type of higher up member in the club. His inscription is actually written on the inside of this cover, I believe, and unfortunately the cover was off, but I didn't take a picture of it. But back in 2021, I wasn't really doing the motorcycle thing as it was today, but also this bike is pretty intensive, and we decided to have it restored because these bikes are worth a very good amount of money, and having it sit in the condition it was just a shame. I continuously got more into the motorcycle thing, the vintage thing, bringing bikes back up from the dead and all of that, but this bike is very intensive, and to be honest with you, I don't think we would ever have the time, and the bike would still be sitting in very similar shape if maybe we got it running at the most. We decided to have the bike done, and it went to the first place to get restored. The thing about this motorcycle was it had 2 different frames, as I mentioned before. One frame with the engine on it, and then the second frame, which was allegedly the matching number frame that's supposed to go with the bike, that had a little bit of damage. We ran the numbers, and turns out that the frame that was unfortunately damaged was actually the matching number frame. Fortunately, we had the matching number frame. We got that frame repaired, and that's the frame that you see right here. The bike slowly started to get a little bit of work. It had the frame painted, the frame restored, had something sent over to chrome, and it started to look like a bike once again. But then a year went by, and the deadline of the bike supposed to be looking like this came and went. Then another year went by, and then another 6 months went by, and the bike looked like this. It looked pretty complete, but there was a ton of small things that needed to be done, and the bike had never even been test rode. I mean, it needed a lot before it could get there. But then unfortunately, the place that, well, the bike was getting restored at, they weren't doing it fast enough, but also they kind of dissolved their restoration because there's something going on internally, and the bike was given back to me like that. But I was put into contact with another local vintage bike restorer. Kind of crazy that there was not one but 2 places we should have went to in the first place, but the bike went to Retro Speed down in Belgium, very close to where we are, and they took this bike, and well, Brady at Retro Speed really knew what he was doing. He has an Ariel Square 4 himself. He had done a couple in the past, so he knew what went where and really got this bike where it should be. And over the winter, he took the bike from, I'd say, maybe 70% to 99%. Of course, there's some small things that need to be done on the bike in order to be a full concourse restoration, which is not the purpose of this bike. You can spend unlimited money making everything shiny and everything. We wanted the bike to look presentable, very presentable, and have it as a nice riding machine, because at the end of the day, that's what these things are built for. It's not going to be a daily rider, but it's definitely going to be something we want to put some miles on. The big thing is, this motorcycle engine only has 37 miles on it. For those who are unfamiliar with the Square 4, it has 2 crankshafts, and it is a Square 4. It's a parallel twin with another parallel twin right behind it. It's very weird design. This engine is famously designed by Edward Turner. Edward Turner also designed the Speed Twin, which was the first successful large production scale parallel twin out on the market. But this is just one of those bikes that's just so special because it was a thing of its time. I believe there's only ever been 2 Square 4s ever built. I'm sure you guys are gonna correct me in the comments section, but there is a Suzuki 2-stroke race bike that was a Square 4, and then there's this, the Ariel Square 4. This is the second Square 4. You can tell very easily if it's like an early one or a later one with the pipes. The first one only has 2 exhausts. The front and back cylinders on the earlier ones share the exhaust. The early ones used to run a little bit on the hot side. Even these do run a little bit on the hot side. Here in Wisconsin, we don't have to worry about it, but if you do run her in traffic, I probably will experience some heat on the hotter days. The one big thing that we wanted to do was an oil filter. Adding an oil filter not only, well, filters the oil and keeps those sludge straps cleaner, but it also adds a little bit of oil that'll help cool the engine down. Even though allegedly the oil doesn't really get too hot in here, I was told by Brady that if you did stick your finger into the oil even after it ran for a while, that the oil would still be pretty cool. For those who are familiar with Ariel, you're probably looking at it and looking at, and then 54, they didn't make it in that color. They were kind of very bland and boring colors. My dad had always wanted to do something a little bit special with this motorcycle. This is a factory Ariel color, as close as we could possibly get it without having actual paint codes. I'm gonna go into some detail, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but it was a commemoration for the Queen's coronation in, I believe, 1952 or 53, and they launched this blue color. It was a lighter blue. Some of them are closer to this, and some of them are closer to a gray. We wanted to make it pop because British bikes, honestly, a lot of the colors are very bland. They're black, they're the maroon, they're a very dull gray, dull gold. They don't have these colors that really pop like crazy for the most part. So we wanted to go with something a little bit brighter. I think it came out fantastic. Is it a little brighter than it should be? Maybe, but I think the bike looks absolutely phenomenal. It's got all the watermarks on it, the white pinstriping, the red badges. It kind of came together really, really nicely. It was a long process in order to get here. There's still a few things I want to do, like getting a new headlight bucket, because it's going to be easier to get a new one, and that's something I can change myself. At some point, we might consider getting new exhaust. The engine needs to be polished. You know, we didn't want to go crazy and order everything new. We wanted to preserve some of the British original parts and also just not overdo it, over restore it, and end up way upside down on the bike. I think that's a huge thing that, you know, you can do a concourse restoration, you can overdo them and spend way more than the bikes are going to be worth. We wanted to have somewhere in the middle where, you know, we can ride it, still enjoy it, and not feel guilty about taking it out. The Ariel Square 4 is a very special machine, and to have one in the collection is always so surreal because I'd never seen the bike before this. And even when we did finally pick the motorcycle up, it spent 3 years just bouncing between workshops and getting slowly worked on. And now that it's here, it's like, whoa. That's a really, really cool machine. These things are wicked cold-blooded though. In order to get this motorcycle started, there's a whole starting procedure. You gotta spend like 3 or 4 minutes just babying that throttle, getting her to warm up. Each bike's gonna be a little different in terms of starting procedure, but in terms of getting them running, you gotta stick on them a little bit and get them warm. I did record the cold startup, so enjoy me starting up the machine. Pops over nicely, but you really gotta spend your time with it. Yeah, the bike sounds like nothing else. There's no other motorcycle that sounds like an Ariel Square 4. Very unique motor setup, very unique sound, very special bike. With that said, if you are not subscribed to the channel, go down and subscribe, and let's go take it for a ride. Hit ignition. The one thing is kind of weird about this bike, it has a fixed starter. This doesn't go in. The bike should be a little warm, not terribly, terribly hot. It's easier to start it up on the center stand, but to get it up on the center stand by yourself, I still haven't figured out the trick. But good thing I'm strong enough to just kick her over like this. A little bit of throttle. This thing is such a unique riding experience. There's nothing quite like it. By the way, that gauge
is very wrong. It might need a little bit of a rebuild. It's probably one of the few things that are left. Like I said, this bike is like 95 to 99% done. Just the small things, and those will always read wrong as well, and they're always going to be a little click, 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 click. They're never going to be a smooth sweep in motion like the Japanese bikes of, well, I suppose the 70s. This is a 50s bike. It's a pleasure to take this machine out for a ride. Nothing quite like the sound of an Ariel Square 4. Very unique, very deep. Almost a little V80 almost, with how deep the sound is. But the bike runs really nicely, it runs pretty smoothly, and it pulls really hard. I mean, it's 1000cc 4-cylinder, so I suppose that's what it's supposed to do. But just at the lower end, the bike feels really, really good. It almost feels like a CB750 on the lower end. You know, you got a decent amount of torque. The bike wants to cruise very nicely. I took the bike out yesterday for the first ever ride. I've done about 10 miles on it so far. We got the flat bar, no American style handlebar on this channel. All the American handlebars that are all the way up here immediately get taken off. We have a proper British bar on a proper British machine. This is like the uniqueness of the British engineering right here. Square 4, 1000cc. What an experience. The bike is very tight. Everything on the bike is very tight. It feels very well put together. Obviously, basically everything on this motorcycle is fresh, brand new, but it's a very stiff riding machine. There's not a lot of give. The handlebar and the steering column can be adjusted. The dampening, I suppose, with that right there. But the whole motorcycle, the whole frame feels like a very solid, well put together single unit. Not a lot of give in the suspension as well. I don't think that these motorcycles have or ever had a light, the rear tail light connected to the front brake. So I'm in the habit a little bit of just using my front brake, because rear brakes on motorcycles, modern bikes, well, you don't really need them if you're just using a little bit of front brake. So that's something I got to get used to. We're going to more experience as I put some miles on it, wrap it up a little bit about what it's like. Of course, it's a very unique starting procedure. You got to take your time with it. You got to warm it up. You got to get it into a heat cycle, take the choke off, make sure she's idling nicely, and then you can finally take off. This bike is really cold-blooded, and pretty much I was told that's how these motorcycles are. They'll always need a little bit of love. We are battling some issues with this bike still, and the bigger one is a charging issue. The motorcycle doesn't seem to be charging the battery. The horn isn't working as the charge starts to get lower. I'm keeping the headlight off because I'm fairly certain the second I get home, this motorcycle is just going to shut off, and I'm gonna have to plug it in if I want to start riding it again. It's kind of been the thing I've had to do with the bike. A brand new clutch in this bike that's still getting a little broken in, as well as the brand new motor, so I'm not gonna go terribly crazy with it. The clutch is a nice strong clutch. It's got a very heavy bite point to it. With the British bikes, you have to be much more firm with the gear shifts, because these things will go into a false neutral if you don't really put them down firmly. You got to be pretty firm with them, otherwise, well, you'll just end up in this no man's land. Bouncing between this, my Triumph, that's right-hand shift with an opposite shift pattern, as well as my regular motorcycles, is a little bit of a feat on the brain. But once you kind of get on them, I find I like this shift pattern better than the Triumph shift pattern. On the Triumph, I'm always double guessing my shifts. Did I upshift or did I downshift? Of course, you get used to it after a minute or two of riding the machine. I really like the cruising on this bike. You know, it's really intimidating. I was pretty intimidated stepping onto the machine for the first time and going out and taking it for a ride. But now that I've put some miles under the belt with the bike, very comfortable, very simple to ride. You know, this bike doesn't have a manual advance or anything like that. It's just like a regular bike with a right-hand shift pattern. It rides pretty much like a modern bike as well. These British bikes always have this little bit of a, what do you call, a character. They ride like nothing else. If you've never rode any of these old British bikes, well, they have a very unique riding experience. Rigid, the motors rev up in this very unique way, and that's what gives them their soul. I mean, the motor's it's got some life in it, I'll tell you that. It's rolling onto the throttle a little bit.
Well, it's just like I thought. I made it home and the bike decided to stop running as nicely as it was. I pulled the clutch in, tried to idle it for a couple of seconds, and it died and didn't want to start back up. I got it hooked back up to a 6-volt charger where it's going to come back to life. So we got to figure something out with the charging system. I'll keep you guys posted with the charging issue, but that is my Ariel Square 4. If you guys did enjoy this video, do me a huge favor, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. As always, I will see you guys in the next video. Man, does that blue look absolutely phenomenal.